Greetings. I wanted to talk to you about something else that I think is rather interesting about snakes, and that is their need to shed their skin. I am really glad that human beings don't need to do this. So, when they are hatched or born out of their mother's bodies, they're quite small, and as they are eating and growing, their bodies are needing to get larger, and they are going to need to have skin that's going to be able to fit their new growing body. And their skin will kind of take on a tone, if you can imagine, if you had glue, liquid glue that you had on your fingers, and after it dried, as you like to peel it off, lots of people like to do that, and their skin will start to look like it has a covering of that liquid glue. And that is a hint that their bodies are getting ready to shed, and they will have several days of that where their body has that kind of a little bit milky color, and then their skin will change so that it looks almost normal again, and that's kind of a hint that they are getting ready to shed. And snakes can't do something that we can do with our eyes, and that is close them. They have no eyelids. So as a snake is wiggling through bumpy rocks and around sharp sticks, it actually has a scale just like the bumps over the rest of its body, and that scale acts like goggles over its eyes and keeps its eyes protected as it's wiggling around those sharp things. But a snake is not able to close its eyes when it goes to sleep. Its eyes are always awake because it does not have the eyelids that we do. Okay? So when the snake sheds, that goggle is also going to come off, which is a good thing because it might have scratches on it from going through those bushes and around those rocks, and it will have a new eye covering over its eyes to help it. So I have my really silly pretend snake here. Here is a snake that has gone through the stage where its skin looked cloudy and its eyes get kind of milky. And if you have a pet snake like I do, the snake is kind of, I want to be left alone. It doesn't want to be picked up too much during that time because its skin is a little sensitive, I would imagine, but also it can't see very well. So that snake in the wild is going to go up to a rock or something a little bit prickly. In my tank for my snake, I have lots of rocks and sticks, and it's going to rub. And as it rubs right around its nose, that extra layer of that old skin is actually going to start to roll off. And I know that it sounds absolutely ridiculous. So I have pictures here to show you because it is just really hard to believe. Okay, so it is going to roll this skin slowly off, and it comes off inside out, just like when you pull your socks off and you get your grown-ups kind of grouchy at you because your socks are all inside out. But that skin is going to come off just inside out. The smaller scales that are on top of its body, the larger scales called scutes on the bottom of its body, that thin layer, it's going to come off just in that bump. And it doesn't matter whether this snake is a green snake or whether the snake has stripes or whether the snake has large areas of color on its body. It comes off just like if you had clear Elmer's glue on your fingers when you were done an art project and you were peeling it off. It comes off in kind of that clear color. Sometimes you can see a little of the stripe or a little bit of those darker spots on the snake, but really it's clear. So here we have a snake that did exactly what I'm doing with my pretend one, and you can see it started right by its nose, and look, it's so cool, you can see the goggles that protected its eyes. And so it's going to have its chin down here, it's going to have the top of its head, and it's going to peel it slowly off so that it comes off all inside out. And the snake is going to leave it right there. You can find them in the woods under bushes and things. Sometimes you'll find them all in one piece. Sometimes you'll find them in little pieces. And the snake is, I would imagine, feeling much better after it was itchy. It can't scratch itself with its fingers because it doesn't have any, so it uses sticks and things like that. Here is another picture, and you can see here, even though this has the beautiful colors, it's pretty much clear. And here is a black rat snake. And here's the skin coming off, and you might be able to see where those eye goggles were, but that's coming off clear, even though it's such a dark snake. Now my snake is pinkish, orangish, and whitish. It's a corn snake, but look at the color that came off for my snake, that clear color. So here is the bottom, where these are called scutes. So they are wider. This is how the snake is going to help itself to move along the ground. And here are the smaller scales that cover the snake's bodies and helps it to be protected. And this can give you an idea of how long my snake is. Just keeps going and going and going and going. And you can see, here's its tail all the way up to his head. And this is a sign of a snake being pretty healthy if it's able to come off in one piece and that it had enough water in the air to help it to come off in one piece. Sometimes they will sit in water to help themselves to get it off. But aren't you glad that humans don't do that? Can you imagine your friend sitting next to you at lunch and all of a sudden he starts peeling his skin off? That would be pretty amazing. I think snakes are super cool.